Welcome everyone to Cancer Convos with Grace B. This is your host, Grace B, coming to you from New York City, the city that never sleeps and is home to Cancer Convos with Grace B. I'd like to appreciate you guys ever so much for your continued support on all my platforms, my Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channels. Please don't forget to go for your medical checks. Health is wealth, as we all know. Now, we all know that a serious illness such as cancer always brings about issues. No matter what happens and everything, that there are different challenges depending on the um, parties involved, but they do vary anyway. So the concerned parties usually, try to handle the situation as best as they can, but sometimes it proves to be very challenging. For instance, when a partner is diagnosed, it is usual for them to exist on the edge psychologically, if you know what I mean. And the same applies to family, to friends, and colleagues at work. So, in this episode, which is titled Daring to Love and to Lead with Courage, I have an amazing guest with me who will guide us through how to handle our relationships, all right? And this happens to whether it's a partner or a parent or a colleague or a friend. It's still the same thing. They're all relationships. She is a marriage educator and board certified coach serving couples facing life-threatening and chronic illness. She was named by Cosmo as one of their most beloved international love gurus, and she serves private clients around the world. She's an author, a speaker, and a frequent guest expert on summits, on podcasts, and internet and terrestrial radio on 4 continents. So, without much ado, let me welcome Dr. Jackie to the show. Welcome, Dr. Jackie, and it's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you today.
Awesome. Great. And how is your, settings over there? Everything is fine. It's looking nice and sunny from where I can see you.
Yes, nice and sunny. It's just beautiful. It's wonderful. And I ran out early in the morning. I just love the morning with the birds carrying on and no traffic. And it was quite lovely. So I'm a morning person and a night person. I like the quiet of the night as well. I get a lot of work done at night.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. So that means that you're rejuvenated for our show, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
So let's dive straight into the topic. So before we start, could you please give us a background of your family, your education, and also what led you to carve a niche in your profession as a marriage educator and board certified coach?
Well, I was a psychologist, a PhD psychologist in private practice,
Mm-hmm.
and through a confluence of events, got involved in the cancer community.
Okay.
Um, and then through that, I met a coach on an airplane, and I was so impressed with him. I was going through a personal issue, not cancer, but I was actually being stalked by a client.
Wow.
And it was a horrific experience. And 5 hours on this airplane with this coach transformed my life. And I got off the plane and I said to myself, who was that guy? What just happened? So when I got back to Los Angeles, there was no Google in those years. When I
Mm-hmm.
got back to Los Angeles, I did research and I found the International Coach Federation, the ICF.
Yeah.
And I got involved with the ICF and learned about coaching and hired a couple of coaches and did a couple of classes. And then I said, yep, this is what I want
This
to
is
do. It's
it.
so
Oh,
powerful,
wow.
so transforming. And I really loved the whole idea. And I was so well served so quickly.
Oh, great.
So I enrolled in my first coach training program and was a certified coach. Then I went to my second program and then did a specialty program following the second program at Relationship Coaching Institute, RCI, many years ago.
Okay.
And so I did my dating and couples and advanced partnership. And because I knew I'd always worked with couples and with families when I was a therapist. My subspecialty was grief and loss and life-threatening and chronic illness.
Oh, great.
And so I left RCI armed with skills and tools and strategies for couples to really, when they're here and they want to be there, when they want to fix something, transform something, shift or change something, have different reactions, responses, more choices, then coaching is the right modality. Very, very powerful change process.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that. I mean, being able to fix, let's put it that way, to fix things that are not right, it's a real skill really that you have to acquire to be able to
And
deal with such.
yes, and people aren't broken, but sometimes the dynamic, sometimes the way that we interact, we engage, we intersect,
Hmm.
can be improved or deepened or changed altogether.
Yes, yes. So, have you ever been approached by couples that are going through cancer now and that have felt or are feeling a kind of strain on their relationships? Because it isn't easy having a partner being diagnosed with cancer or any other chronic disease. It has the toll takes place in that relationship.
Yes, it takes a terrible toll, and that's why I decided to focus on this very, very, very narrow niche. I also work with couples in trouble, couples who are
Okay.
going through any kind. But the couples facing illness
Hmm.
is such a passion for me. I hold it so dearly in my heart because it throws couples into such turmoil. Even couples who are very successful in their lives, even couples who are in love, even couples who have been together for 30 years and they've acquired wonderful skills and tools. Illness, the diagnosis of any life-threatening or chronic illness,
Hmm.
throws couples into terrible turmoil. And there are some good reasons for that. We don't have skills for the kind of stress that ensues. The other thing that happens is that relationships become transactional or logistical. So it's about the fight. It's about uh, identifying doctors and the
Yes,
proper procedures and making appointments and getting to appointments. And you know what that's like, getting through the medical quagmire. Um,
absolutely.
and I don't wish anybody ill, but I think that the more doctors who had an experience with an illness and then recovered fully quickly would have a much more compassionate view of being able to get us in on time and not make people wait
Hmm.
for so long. And well, don't even get me started. That's a whole other hour.
Well, we're going to come to that. Don't worry. We're going to come to that. Yes. And
But
so,
that
what I wanted to,
mystical, transactional stuff that goes on that then separates people. They
mhm.
lose that very warm, cozy, comforting togetherness that's so important. And that's the focus of my work with others.
Yes, yes. And so that's it. And then it builds up continuously, gradually. And then I'm sure without them even realizing it, they've fallen apart,
Yes.
and it's just the let's say illness keeping them together, so to speak, as you say, transactional. It's like, oh, let's go to the doctors today, or what did the doctor say? And after that, there's no conversation even.
Though I will tell you that a fair number of partners, you might be surprised at this, but a fair number of committed partners, people who are even married, don't stay with partners with a cancer diagnosis.
Mm. Yep, very
Shocking
few.
as
Oh,
that
yes,
may
it is
be.
shocking. It
Yeah,
is shocking. Wow.
yeah.
So, when these couples approached you, those that have been diagnosed, either or of the partner, um, did they have the willingness and were they able to start with you? And even if they did start with you, Did you have any clients that fell off the bandwagon, let's put it that way, and got
No.
fed up and everything? Did you?
Most clients are referred to me or have heard me speak, or so by the time they call and we connect,
Mm-hmm.
and for sure at the end of the hour and a half that I spend with them, most people are ready. They're ready.
Okay.
Let me
Okay.
tell you who's not ready. People who say, well, if he or she wasn't ill, then we'd be fine. Or it is what it is and nothing can help. You know, people who have a very closed mind. So I don't work with those people.
Mm.
I don't even start. Sometimes clients, prospects, people come and they are disrespectful or unkind to each other in the intake session, and I don't work with them. So by the time I decide that they're a good fit for me, and they decide that I'm a good fit for them, we really connect, and no, nobody, I'm proud to say, has ever fallen off the wagon.
That's
Once people
awesome.
start, they stay, they are committed. And the other thing that happens is that they see the results so quickly. They can't believe how fast things shift and change.
Yeah,
So,
because they've been intentional about it
exactly.
also.
Yes.
If they come with a closed mind, as you're talking about the others, of course you can't get anything done when you're already, you're not interested and you're already closed-minded.
Right.
Nothing will work. So it's
And
good
that's
that
why
they're
they,
intentional, and you can identify, of course, that they're intentional.
yes. And the way that I talk about that is that they're not ready.
Mm,
So I don't have to understand what the issue is.
mm,
I don't have to identify it as something wrong with them. I just have to say they're not ready
absolutely.
to partner with me in a way that makes sense for them and for me.
Mm,
Because it has to make sense for me as well. It's a partnership.
true. You're you're exceedingly right. So, what I wanted to ask at the beginning actually was that why do couples actually hire you to do this work? Is it just for, have they had issues before an illness, or is it as a result of the illness coming around, at a particular time of their lives? Why are they being drawn to you to sort out their issues? What is it exactly?
It's really both. If people have had challenges in their relationship, then this is not going to help. It's going to exacerbate everything that's not working. People who are happy and have been together for a long time and have good skills and great interaction are thrown for a loop, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
They are suddenly on an emotional roller coaster. So much is being asked of them, and they just don't have the skill set, the tools, the knowledge. This is skill based. This is not magic. You don't
Mm.
have to be born with this stuff. These are skills and tools and strategies that are easily learned and mastered, and that
Mm-hmm.
help. They help immediately.
Mm-hmm. So what are the benefits? What do they get from it?
I always love that question because the benefit is that connection, that warmth and coziness that they have with each other, that they again can depend on each other emotionally. They take care of one another emotionally. They comfort one another and themselves.
Mm.
And so that separation when clients, when the relationships become disconnected, it's
Mm-hmm.
a very cold, dark, lonely place to be, particularly when you're with another person.
Mm-hmm.
So the benefit is that reconnection, that deepening of intimacy and trust and connection emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, sexually.
Would you say that in helping them, there are two different types of healing? Healing for those that have already had issues, not necessarily medical issues, and then healing and reconciliation for couples that are probably having financial issues and it has strained them, the relationship, or some other issue apart from one of illness. Are there
Yep,
differences?
definitely, definitely. So from my perspective, it
Hmm.
doesn't really matter what the problem is that
Okay.
has created the separation, the disconnection.
Yes.
the work is the same. I think a diagnosis, sometimes for the left brain,
Mm-hmm.
right? We can say, oh, it's that. That's what happened. That's what threw us off kilter. That's what's creating the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the fact that people recognize that they want more from each other, they want, that I keep using the same word. It is what it is. It's connection.
Yes.
That that's all they need. And then we jump in and do the work.
What's the duration of a process like this? How long does it take actually?
It depends on the couple. It depends on how much therapy and or coaching and or individual exploration, contemplative work they've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on how committed they are to the change. For
Okay.
people with life-threatening and chronic illness, with cancer diagnosis and others, it depends on how much energy they have, how much time they have.
Mm-hmm.
Not time left, but time in their day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so some people need to work more slowly. Our phone conversations, for example, might be 20 minutes, and that's as much energy as somebody has. Another couple might be able to dig in and have 2-hour sessions. So we may have an opportunity to do a little more, a little faster. So
Okay.
it completely depends on the client.
So it varies depending on, the case involved.
Yes.
Okay. So when I was diagnosed, I know that going back to work for me was a bit strenuous on my mindset. I kind of got the feeling that I was not seen as being productive anymore. I wasn't seen as being because of the illness and because it had taken its toll on me and everything. Um, Taking into consideration, yes, that I was still doing remote work to be able to be relevant to the system, if you understand. But there are certain institutions with their workers who they kind of, you know, push them aside, and sometimes the workers don't even, or the leaders or their colleagues, whatever, don't let them know that they're having an issue, medical issues or cancer issue or something. They hide it. Now, I remember that I only told a couple of people and family and just one or two of my colleagues, and they kept the secret. It wasn't because of anything. It wasn't because I felt, that I was going to be maybe sent off or something like that, but because I needed to concentrate on what was in front of me. That was why I kept it personal and I didn't tell those that I had to tell in upper hierarchy kind of thing. But we find out that a lot of people and people that I've come across have told me, Grace, no, we refused to. We didn't tell anybody until, everything was over and all that. So what, from your point of view, from your perspective, what do you think are the benefits of opening up or the benefits of keeping the illness a secret?
If clients want to keep their illness a secret, then I don't push back. I support whatever clients know they need and know they want. If they're open to trying, if they're open
Mm-hmm.
to being open, I always try to encourage them to do that, because we humans are pretty funny. If something is shifting or changing and we notice it, but we don't have any information around it,
Mm-hmm.
we make it up in our heads. We fill in the blanks in the story ourselves. They do that, but the brain, our intellect, we don't like a vacuum. So in
Yeah.
the absence of no information, we make stuff up. And so it's always better
Mm-hmm.
if you can share the truth. And the truth can be limited. I want to let you know that I've had a cancer diagnosis. I don't really want to talk about it. I want you to know that I'm very happy with my treatment plan. I'm so grateful to have the doctors that I have, and I will be back full steam very soon. But I just want you to know that for the short term, while I'm in treatment, I'll probably be a little less. If you're in the office, I might look a little tired. I might move a little more slowly. Give people behaviors that they're going to identify anyway, and then frame
Okay.
it with your own story.
Mm-hmm.
That you might be tired, but that you're as sharp as ever.
Yes.
Although we all know about chemo brain, right?
Mm.
Um, so you want to really talk to people with as much detail as you're comfortable. And if it's just a little bit of detail, you can be open and cut it off. And I'm not comfortable really talking about the details now. But
Mm-hmm.
here's what I do want you to know about me. It really helps a lot. The other thing is most people, and I say this with a lot of experience, most people want to be supportive. They want to be kind. They want to be considerate. Um, and so we just need to give them the chance and trust people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But you still find too that people, yeah, they do believe that I have good colleagues at work, I have a good boss, and all that. But they still would like to. It's a personal thing. So yeah, maybe a few people would say, okay, could say that and say, oh, okay, I could feel a bit tired, or I want to stay off work, or something like that. But some people, speaking for myself, I didn't need any sympathy or empathy, because it kind of makes things much more difficult to be able to, you feel that cancer is insurmountable. So, and then people are bringing a lot of empathy and sympathy. It's like, oh my goodness, you're going to be laden with so much uh, of emotions that it would make it very difficult for you to actually jump and pass that those crazy bumps. But like you rightly said as well, different strokes for different folks. You know, some people could talk about it, and then some people. So you would, anybody listening now who is in that situation would probably listen to you and say, oh, okay, it's all right. You know, they can take a thing or two from what you have said to say, it's okay to talk about it, but also as less as possible, so that you don't give too much away. Yeah. But,
I remember when my late husband, Mark, was diagnosed with colon cancer.
oh, wow.
And he said, I don't want anybody to know. We're not telling anybody. And I said, fine. And he said, I'll never forget this. He said, I don't want people looking at me that way. That, oh, poor Mark. He just, it wasn't about having people talk to him or ask him. He didn't want people looking at him that way. And I remember that we had friends and they'd call and they'd say, how's Mark? And the first couple of times that happened, I thought to myself, right, that's what he doesn't want. Right?
Absolutely.
That's what he doesn't want. That was after he decided he would disclose to. Well, here's what happened. When he said he didn't want to tell anybody, I said that was fine. I insisted that we tell our adult children. I thought that that was really necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought about it and I said, it would really help me if I could tell 2 people so that I could have some support. And I made a list of people and I gave him the list and I said, are there 2 people on here that you feel comfortable being confidants for me? And he thought about it and he said, yeah, these 2 people would be fine. And he said, you know, you've started me thinking, I think maybe I'll do that for myself. And so he decided that he would tell 2 people. And what we said was, we don't want you to have to, we're not going to ask you for advice. You don't have to say anything brilliant or profound.
Mm-hmm.
We really just want a place to come and talk or complain or be sad or be scared. But we don't expect you to do anything or give us any meaningful feedback. It really is just heart space we were looking for. And people were able to step up and do that. So and in business, he decided that he was a consultant and had clients, very high level clients. And he said, they're going to notice. I don't want them to notice and think that there's something wrong with me. I'm just going to tell them. And he told them exactly what I suggested a moment ago. I might be a little tired. I might not be able to be in as many meetings in a day, but I'm here and I'm committed as ever. And he never had a single problem with a client.
That's fantastic. I'm really sorry about his passing.
Thank
That's the
you.
first time you're telling me that. Is it a long time he passed?
He did. He died in 2005.
Oh, wow.
Long time.
My condolences. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. And that was okay. At least it kind of he had kind of put those conditions for his own mental health at that time,
Yes.
and that was necessary. That was good.
Yeah, it's necessary for anybody who wants to do the thing they want to do. We should
Mm,
never bump up against that. We must never say to people who are trying to get through this kind of situation as well as they can, we should never say to them, no, no, you shouldn't, no, you can't, no, I don't want you to. We really need to ask how. How can I support you in the best way? How will this benefit you? How will this work for me?
mm,
And
exactly.
then birth more.
Hmm.
It's very important to not say to people, no, 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 you can't, no, you shouldn't, no, I don't want to.
Mm. Either that or you stay silent and just go over the bumps, you know.
Yeah, if you can do that. I'm not a person who could do that. If it's on
Mm.
my heart, it's out of my mouth.
Yes,
So
yes.
you want to learn how to speak from that I position, from your
Mm,
deepest truth, in an honest way, but in a kind way, in an open-hearted way.
mm,
Because particularly with partners, not with friends or colleagues, but with
mm,
partners, we want to be vulnerable. We want to be open-hearted.
mm-hmm.
Right? We want to be in that space with each other.
So do you have what tips would you give a non-ill partner or caregiver right now that is watching, that is like, oh, my partner has been diagnosed. What do I do? What do I say? And all that. You've already given us a bit of, advice as to what to do, but what would you tell them particularly to do or not to do?
There's an insidious setup between the ill person and the non-ill person and the world. Normally, and it's not a problem, we're not making them bad. Normally, people who are ill feel, say, think it's all about me. I have needs. I have legitimate needs. I'm going through something tough. So the insidious setup is that as far as the ill person is concerned, it's all about them. And as far as the non-ill partner is concerned, it's all about them. And so it's not about, so it's like it isn't like, it is that the non-ill partner doesn't honor his or her own needs, legitimate needs. Because your partner is ill doesn't mean that you still don't have needs,
Mm-hmm.
that you don't get tired, that you don't get scared, that you don't have needs to go to the gym or, whatever it is. So what I would say is take a deep breath
Mm-hmm.
and drop down into your deeper truth and honor your needs.
Mm-hmm.
Let yourself know that you have needs and they're legitimate. Let yourself know that it's okay for you to ask for what you need and to get your needs met. Your partner might not be the right person to do that with, and they might be. When Mark was first diagnosed, I said to him, I can do this, but I have to do this with you. And he said, okay. And I said, no, let me tell you what that means for me. What that means is if I'm scared, I want to talk to you. If I'm upset, if something's going on with me, I want to talk to you. I want you to still be my person,
Mm-hmm.
even though you're going through what you're going through. And he thought about it for a minute and he said, I can do that. And he did. I knew I couldn't be a martyr and I couldn't put on a happy face. I couldn't do all of that stuff. I knew I wasn't going to be able to. I'm just not wired that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that way of showing up for each other, well, it worked for us, but it brought us closer.
Awesome.
Yeah, it brought us closer. So I would say, honor yourself, what you need, and take good care of yourself. You know, it's that old thing about when you're in the airplane to put your own oxygen on.
First, to be able to help other people.
Yeah, we just are not unlimited fountains of ability and energy to help and to support. So you have needs, own them and honor them. They're legitimate.
Fantastic. That is a lovely soundbite. What about tips for the person that is ill? What advice would you give to them in order for them to understand, like you rightly said, it's not just about them, it's also about the caregiver?
Sometimes fear kicks in, and people who are fighting cancer, fighting disease, throw their whole self, you know, their thoughts, their focus, their energy, their attention. You can remember that a little bit of attention on your partner, a kind thank you, a hand squeeze, it's not a lot, doesn't take a lot. Just look in their eyes and say, I appreciate what you just did. Thank you for what you're doing. In a moment, not all the time, you know, but once in a while, make that outreach. This is a person that you care about. And so be caring. We have the capacity as human beings to be ill, to be fighting our own fight, fighting for our lives, and to be caring in a moment for the people that we care about.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for that. So we have spoken about those that have spouses or committed partners. What would you say to those that don't have committed partners, that are alone? How do they get out of their, I would say it is misery, because being able, walking alone during a journey such as cancer, I mean, can make one want to commit suicide, so to speak. So what advice could you please give to that person that is alone? Because we met so many of them when we were going through chemo and radiation. They'd come to the hospital by themselves, they'll leave by themselves. Nobody to walk them there, nobody to go to the cafe with them afterwards, and in the hospital setting, all alone. And I watched those people like for 9 months while undergoing chemo. And I tell you, I was going through my stuff, but I really felt I felt very terrible for them. And so that was why I'm a very jovial and light person. So I would make jokes, I'd tell them things, African jokes and all that, just to get them out of that stuff, because they were looking forward to coming to the hospital, because that was where they could get some kind of fraternity.
Yes.
And then when it was time to leave, an hour to the time, everybody was looking sad and dejected and everything, because now everybody was coming to the end of the session. So yeah, this is what happens. So for those that don't have committed relationships, and nobody to take care of them at home or whatever, how do you think they can be strong and stay, you know, mentally resilient during these times?
I encourage everybody, whether you have a partner or you're alone,
Mm.
to join a support group. There are support groups everywhere. Hospitals have support groups. The American Cancer Society has support groups. The Heart Association, the Alzheimer's, everybody has support groups. There are private therapists and psychologists and coaches who have support groups. So please, please, please don't go this alone. Join a support group or two. And the research is phenomenal about the longevity for people with all kinds of illnesses who join support groups.
Mm-hmm.
That ups their longevity,
Mm-hmm.
even for the most dire cases. So support groups, I'm a big believer in support groups.
So am I. I mean, that really, I think that's what kept my smile, honestly, in person and also online. We chat away, exchange information and all that. And even if you're not online, like you rightly said, like I'm an ambassador for the American Cancer Society. Each time I'm always sharing information. This is where it is. This is depending on what borough you are in New York. So these are things that actually really help. Um, you're right about that too. You find people, like I was saying, looking forward to the next meeting, where we'd have a cup of tea and a cup of coffee and spill our hearts out as to what is happening. uh, yeah, yeah.
And it doesn't matter how smart you are or how experienced you are. I mean, I'm a therapist. I'm a specialist
Mm.
in this at that time, and now being a coach. And when I knew Mark was dying, I identified a grief counselor and made sure that she had a grief group. And 2 days before he died, I called her and I said, I will be calling you soon. I wanted to touch base with her. I needed I'd already identified her. We'd had a conversation. I liked her very much. I just wanted that sort of professional touch during that moment. And then after a week or so after he died, I went to my first grief support group. I am one of the most experienced facilitators of grief groups. I've worked for agencies for many, many years,
Hmm.
leading support groups in the cancer community and the AIDS and HIV community. And that's the first thing I did, was join a group. So don't think that you're above groups, or you're too good for a group, or you don't need a group, or you've got it covered.
You do need.
Oh my God, it's a lifeline. It
Mm.
really is a lifeline, which is why I've never shared. Grace, this is the first time I've ever really
Oh,
disclosed
bless.
that. But yeah, I mean, that's how important it is for everybody.
Yes.
It's just my opinion, but it is my opinion.
Yes. So when you were undergoing that grief counseling, how long did it take? Pardon me if I ask this, because
Yeah, no,
um, I would like to know, how long did it take for you to kind of get yourself back after your husband passed by joining this group, or, talking to this lady?
I hired her privately, so I had one private session a week, and I went to the grief group, and it was more than 4 or 5 months before I started to feel less anxious inside. That knot started to release a little bit.
Mhm.
And then it was a couple of more months before I really started to. Here's the question that I asked myself: is how am I me without you?
Hmm.
And so I would really start to explore my own new meanness, because I'd never been that me in that time in my life. So and when we're coupled, when we're married, it really is each person's strong I creates the we.
Mm-hmm.
So who am I now that I am not we was a central question for me.
Mm. Mm. So
And
you were kind of you were rediscovering yourself all
yes,
over again.
all over again, and how to be alone and live alone, and not just survive, but to
Mm.
really grab onto life, to
Mm.
re-engage,
Mm.
to recommit
I get you.
to a life that was happy, to things, to doing things that were meaningful, to making contributions.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's fantastic. Learning to love yourself and learning to know yourself all over again, alone.
Alone. Yeah.
Yes,
And
yes.
what got weakened, what got hurt, what got scared, what got
Mm-hmm.
stronger,
Mm-hmm.
what parts of me did I now have more access to than perhaps I hadn't had access to before.
Um, Apart from this lady, what about family? Did you have support? What was your relationship with family at that time?
I have two adult children,
Mm-hmm.
and they are both married.
Okay.
Uh, but I sort of had the mother boundary thing, and I wasn't comfortable um, being scared, crying, complaining to my children. I didn't do the I'm strong thing either, but it didn't feel right to me. They are all very busy. They have busy, wonderful lives. They're amazing people.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I wasn't comfortable um, doing my laundry with my
Absolutely. I
or with
agree with you.
with my
Yes. I agree with you there. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah
Because basically we are independent and we've done things on our own, so to speak, and then you also don't want to burden your kids or the rest of your family over such issues. I mean, these are serious issues, but still we still feel bad that, oh no, I'm going to take care of this, let me not bother them. But if they do ask, yes, I will tell them. But
yeah.
if they don't, oh, okay, yeah.
I
I
remember
get
our
you.
first Thanksgiving. Mark died in July, so Thanksgiving is November.
November, yes.
Yeah, and I said to the kids, I'm going to do Thanksgiving. Everybody come down, do Thanksgiving, but I'm not going to make a turkey.
Mm.
I'm going to do rock Cornish hens. And my daughter, who's a social worker,
Okay.
said, "You're going to what? There's no turkey?" Yeah, time out. No, we're going to do Thanksgiving, but we're going to do a different kind of Thanksgiving. It was awful. It was awful. I tried to do a new tradition. It was too soon. Everybody missed things. So look, we can just try these things that we have in our minds. Try to recreate new traditions or be step into new roles. But we must have a good sense of humor about it
Hmm.
because learning and growing through having
Through
cancer,
grief, through
being
illness,
loving someone
everything.
having cancer, you really please have a sense of humor because we
Hmm.
never know what we'll react to or how things will work out. So I think it's more important trying to show up and do something than to do nothing at all.
I know, but it's like Breaking Bad, after such an experience, it's good. So you now know exactly what works and what doesn't work. Trial
That's
and error.
yeah.
That's great. Oh, wow. So, what would you say to that person that would watch us, that is going through a crazy, maybe a tumultuous relationship with their partner now? What would you tell them based on an illness? Let's put it that way. How would you encapsulate bringing peace to that relationship with their
Yeah,
loved
it's
one?
very tricky to do, especially since I believe that if you are in a negative environment, if you have somebody who is disagreeable, we'll just say it that way, it is not good for you when all things being equal, you're strong and healthy. And you need to be around people who are positive,
Hmm.
not making lemonade out of lemons, not putting on rose colored glasses, but really loving on you, really seeing you and appreciating you and holding the space for you to feel cared for and cared about.
Hmm.
And so I invite people to consider limiting the time, having special time where they can, special alone time, where they can recharge and rejuvenate, and supporting people to do that more and more and more. And a lot of times what happens is that by themselves they get to a place where they say, I don't want to spend a lot of time with the person who is hassling me or giving me a hard time,
Yes.
and not understanding. And from the partner side, I have to say that a lot of people, well, I'll tell you a short story. My second husband, Gary,
Okay.
cancer. He had melanoma. So Gary had surgery, and then a very serious melanoma surgery, and then he had
Oh,
pleurisy and
wow.
all kinds of things. And one day I walked into our bedroom and I was like done. I look back at this with horror. I mean, really. And I walked in and we had big plantation shutters, and I opened the shutters. It's the dead of winter in Los Angeles. So, I mean, it's not Chicago, but it was chilly. I opened the shutters and let the sunlight in, and I opened the windows to get some fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
And I grabbed the covers and I said, please take a shower. Please take a shower. I'm going to run to Chalet Gourmet, was a wonderful little store down the street.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm going to buy us a couple of little gourmet finger food things, and I'll be right back. And he was so darling and so amazing. And so he did get up, and I got back, and he was sitting in the dining room with his robe, and he just looked so cute. And we had finger foods. The whole thing lasted about 8 minutes. And it was so, and I went and I changed the bed and fluffed
Mm-hmm.
things up, and of course closed the windows. And it was so invigorating for both of us. It
Yes.
literally was about 8 minutes, and he said to me, is it okay if I go back to bed now?
Oh, he did that to make you happy.
And
Oh, bless.
he said, of course, and I helped him, but the bed was, not that I didn't change the bed frequently, but it was just something about having gotten up for the few minutes and ate at the table. And he said to me later, what a brilliant thing. I would not have thought I could. I would not have thought it was a good, I feel so much better. There was
Oh,
just something
wow.
emotional, something mental about having done that.
Yes.
But I must tell you that I felt guilty about that for a long time. I thought, what was wrong with me? But as the partner, sometimes we do those things. We're imperfect, and
Yeah.
we just have to forgive ourselves when we're
Yes, yes, yes. But you see what the outcome was. He felt good about it. He felt good with you, and
yes,
it was a win-win situation. Sometimes we actually have to go beyond those, those boundaries that we set to say,
yes,
listen, get up and move. Let's do something. You
yes.
know. Oh yeah, that's nice. Oh, Dr. Jackie, this has been very interesting, honestly. So you're going to have to let us have all your details, which are going to be on my wall and all that,
Okay,
for people to reach out to you. I'll also put it in the YouTube comments section as well, and
okay.
on my page, right? And you do seem to enjoy your profession as a coach, a marriage
I,
educator, don't you? Because I
I
see the glow on your face when you're talking about it with animation. So it does show that you really enjoy it. Yeah.
thank you. I am so blessed to do the work that I do and
Mm-hmm.
to have the clients that I have. Yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I wake up every day excited, and I hang up the phone or close the Zoom or
Mm-hmm.
the FaceTime, and I just am so energized.
I know. No, you look it. You look it. So would you, if you had to walk down this road again, would you still do the same thing, or would you go into something else?
I would do exactly the same thing. Yeah, I do it
Awesome.
exactly the same thing. And people say to me, have you thought about retirement? Why would
From
I
what?
exactly? As long as I can talk,
From what?
I can do my
I
work.
can walk, I can talk, I can laugh. I'm still breathing.
Exactly.
Retirement for what?
Breathing and talking. I don't even have to
Oh,
walk.
wow.
Yeah.
No. The best is still to come, Dr. Jackie. You look amazing, and you
Well,
have
thank
that light that shines through. And I'm sure that also is important when you're dealing with people, because they also have to see that you're not gloomy, you're bringing light into the mix and positivity and everything. And it shows, it does show. So, congratulations on what you do. And you know continue to do it as well. Give
thank you.
positivity and all that. And I'm sure that we're going to have to talk about the real McCoy. This time is just for relationships with people having cancer, but we're going to go into the actual marriage conversation the next time, where we'll talk about sexuality and all that.
Yeah,
I would still, we still have to talk about that, because that also is missing in the mix between
it
couples
is.
at that
And the way
time.
that, and the way that people really have to develop a new normal.
Yes, new normal is it. That's the right phrase, and it is difficult. Yeah, but
Yeah, it's challenging,
yeah,
but it's
challenging.
doable. And that's what I always remind people. It's absolutely doable.
Hmm. Absolutely. So I think our time is up, and I've got to let you go. I could ask so many questions, but I'll
Yes, I
save
could
it for
go
another
in.
time.
I could talk to you for hours. Thank you
Honestly,
so much for this opportunity. It has been such a pleasure.
thank you so much, Dr. Jackie. Um, Cancer Convos with Grace B is very, very honored to have you on the show, and we're going to do it again next time. All
I look
right?
forward to it. Yes.
Thank you so much. Let me sign out, and then I'll sign you out as well. So, my dear audience and friends, you have heard our wonderful conversation with the amazing Dr. Jackie Black, the marriage educator, well known author, and speaker. And you're going to be hearing more about her on my pages on YouTube and Facebook, and also on Instagram. So watch out for this episode. Huh? And don't forget, I hope you did take notes. All right. So, guys, wishing you love and light. Thank you so much, and see you in the next episode. Ciao, ciao. Thank you, Dr. Black, and
My pleasure,
see you
Grace.
next
Thank
time.
you. Okay. Bye.
Have a good one. Bye bye,
Thank you.
dear.
Bye bye.
Bye.